This month on Artifacts, Carol Sirrine presents creations from her Art Start organization. Kathy Umland gives us the inside scoop on the 24th Annual Advertising Award Show. Judy Lyle describes her work with Real Community Theater. And master storyteller Notando Zulu. All on the ever-eclectic Artifacts.
Hello and welcome to Artifacts. I'm Phill Lindsay.
And I'm Zahn, and this is the show that brings the arts in the Twin Cities home to you.
And we're going to start with some news. According to The Well, that's the newsletter of the Celebration of Life art program, an unfortunate set of developments have been taking place in the Twin Cities African American art community. 4 art galleries, all specializing in art by artists of African descent, have closed since early this year. Now gone are the Black Art Renaissance, Hart's African American Art Outlet, John Matter Arts, and Unique Images. At least 5 other local stores that specialize in African American art remain open.
The state of the state film, video, television, and new media industry will be the topic of discussion on Monday, October 12th, when the Minnesota Film Board hosts a town meeting at Energy Park Studios in St. Paul. The meeting is free and open to the public to encourage a large, diverse turnout, from students to established professionals from all segments of the business. The discussion will center on finding ways to effectively work together and move forward as a statewide industry that will thrive in a rapidly changing, competitive world market.
And the brave new workshop will open a new main stage theater in Calhoun Square in uptown Minneapolis this fall. The company hopes to open the new space in conjunction with its 40th anniversary show. The brave new workshop was founded by Dudley Riggs in 1958. New owners took over in spring of last year. Now the new space will be on the 2nd floor of Calhoun Square. That's adjacent to the Smiling Moose restaurant. By the way, the company's old space on 26th and Hennepin Avenue South will remain open, offering workshops and what they call experimental productions.
And that's the Artifacts news for October 1998.
And next, we've got a great lineup of guests on this edition of Artifacts, starting with Carol Sirrine. She's an enterprising woman who's built a business from scraps. Art scraps, that is. And she's got an intriguing and delightful story to tell, including the saga of the Scrapmobile.
Then Kathy Umland will join me to bring us the inside scoop on the 24th Annual Advertising Awards Show called The Show, coming to the State Theater in October. She's bringing some samples of some great creatives, sure to inspire.
Then you'll meet Judy Lyle, who's with the Real Community Theater, which just celebrated its 24th anniversary. She'll tell a bit about the history of the grassroots theater troupe, and as an extra bonus, she's going to sing us a tune.
And to top off the show, Notando Zulu, a storyteller by trade, will weave a wonderful tale for you right here in our studio.
So let's have the conversations begin right after this preview of a Minneapolis College of Art and Design student art exhibit called Dumb and Evil. They tell us the title refers to our culture of mixed message news, entertainment, and leisure activities in which dumb and evil compete for everyone's time.
Makes you kind of curious, doesn't it?
Yeah, it makes me kind of interested.
The exhibition is on display at the MCAD Calhoun Square Gallery through the month of October. Enjoy.
That was just a quick glimpse of a few images from the Dumb and Evil show up there at Calhoun Square. I thought that was a great idea, a great concept for an exhibition. So well done, you young artists. My next guest is Carol Sirrine, and she is the originator, the executive director, I believe, of Art Start. Welcome.
Thanks,
So
Phil.
nice to have
it's
you
great
here.
to be here.
It is
It's
great. And as you can probably see, just looking at your sets right now, we are surrounded by a riot of color, wonderful images and materials. And we're going to talk about, these are the elements that Carol gets to work with in conjunction with kids, students, neighbors, and all kinds of things. For those of us that don't know about Art Start, what is it and what do you do?
Well, Art Start is a nonprofit. 501c3 nonprofit, and we've just been actually forging our new mission. Art Start's been around for 10 years, and you know, you revisit that mission every once in a while. So our new mission, if I can say it here, you know, you have to be able to say a mission.
That's right.
Is to advance the arts in education and in the environment by cultivating the imagination of children, families, and communities. And we feel that that's a really powerful mission for our organization, because over the 10 years in working with artists, working with educators, providing programming in schools, we've come to the conclusion that we're really about linking the study of the arts with the environment and having fun while we're doing it.
And that's completely a laudable goal, but what it really means is that you get people to bring you things, and you go out and look for things
Right.
that otherwise might end up in a landfill somewhere.
That's right.
Or gathering dust in a closet, and you
Right.
put them to active use.
That's right.
That's
yeah.
right. Now you've got kind of 4 main program areas. Can
Right,
you run those through? And then we're
right.
going to look at some of this fun stuff you've actually created
Great.
here.
Well, Art Start's the umbrella organization, and under Art Start, we have, 5 years ago, we developed a store, a reuse store called Art Scraps, and I think a lot of educators and artists and families know about this store. It is located in St. Paul on St. Clair Avenue. But we've done a lot of programming in communities in Minneapolis. I'm a resident of Minneapolis, as a matter of fact, so I'm not going to abandon my community here. Yeah, right. But Art Scraps really is about working with manufacturers, businesses, and individuals to secure donated materials, as you see, materials that would go into the landfill. And then our goal is to find ways, reimagine usages for these materials by combining them in new and interesting ways. And it really helps to have a cadre of artists and educators that work with us in our retail
Carol, I've been
space.
in your store
Yeah.
over on St. Clair and Pasco, I think is the cross
Right,
street.
right.
And I have to tell you folks, when you walk in, you can't just do a quick circuit of the store. You get stuck.
Yeah.
There's an interesting pile of stuff here. There's stuff here that takes 3 minutes to figure out what it is, but it's all colorful, and you can
Right.
tell immediately that it's useful.
Yeah.
There's a way, if you unlock the creativity, to make something out of it.
Right.
It's wonderful.
Right. And a lot of the things that you see in front of you are projects that have been
Well, great. Let's take a
created
little
from
tour of some of the
materials.
stuff that's right here, right now.
Good. Well, this object right here, a quilt, was part of our work in the schools, where we
Right.
had an artist working with children in a school program in a residency where they really wanted to have the first and second graders have a presence in the school. And you know, to a first and second grader, a lot of it is about who they are and that I really am a special person and I really count.
Build some identity.
Yeah.
Sure.
So each child made their self-portrait out of fabric and found objects that we had at Art Scrap. For example, I think you can see all sorts of different kinds of fabric scrap.
Yep. Very colorful, motley.
Yeah, you can see some actually wooden beads here that have been used for the eyes, and then of course donated yarn and ends of things from textile
Carol, who did the actual
companies.
stitching? Because I see these actually then ended up on
Well,
the
you know,
squares.
we're talking about first and second
That's what I'm
graders,
wondering.
and it's amazing. Some of them really do have some sewing skills.
Okay.
But we had a cadre of volunteers, parent volunteers. That's the wonderful thing about schools. The parents really are invested in their children's education, and we had no problem at all in completing the quilt.
Well, now show me some of these other wonderful things here.
All right. Well,
This guy right here, for instance, which scared one of our camera
yeah,
operators.
this guy is kind of a holder of cards and whatever, and we even have the directions on how to create this guy. But I think you can see we have a plastic bottle that's been recycled. Somebody donated kazoos. Again,
These are kazoo ears.
yeah, those are kazoo ears, yeah. One was making, I don't know, some kind of stuffed animals and got tired of the project and donated felt
Yep,
pieces.
for the
So we've
ears.
got that.
Got a tail.
Yeah, this is just some plastic for the tail, plastic piping that's stuffed with colorful paper. Again, you see our wooden bead and then, of course, wire that's been donated.
And I have in my hand here the Mighty Mini Force Cup.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
This
yeah.
is important to have.
Yes,
And what is
right.
this? It looks like a royal scepter or something.
Well,
right?
it could be used for that. We have a little frog on the top.
Oh, yes, there's the frog, yes.
Yeah, so we've just kind of created that as you say, maybe a magical piece that can release the imagination.
I can see 300 kids walking in school with these and taking over.
Here we have a kaleidoscope.
A working kaleidoscope?
Yeah, it actually does work. This is a baby food jar. We filled it with some colorful plastic beads that were donated. This is a tube. We get lots of tubes. And then around the outside, we have glittery mylar. So what do you see happening in there?
Well, I see a lot of things kind of blending and moving around in there. That's wonderful.
So it's...
That's good. Now, you have a wonderful image behind us here. What's the story
Well,
of this?
I think one of the things that we've really, been concerned about is that when you get lots and lots of stuff that some people perceive as junk, and they say, well, they walk into the store, and you can tell the people that walk into the store and they turn around and say thank you very much and they leave. But I think 99% of the people are really engaged in looking at materials and thinking, now how could I reuse this? One of the things that we are concerned with is that we build artistic skills while we're thinking about how to reuse these materials. So there are some skills that artists need to know about. How to apply things. What are the techniques and processes of making art?
Very practical.
Yeah, how about pattern and repetition and how to create a composition? This was done by one of our volunteers to announce a program that we have going in the communities, and actually in the communities of Minneapolis and St. Paul, our scrap mobile.
Right, depicted here in an actual image.
Actual photo. It's a 1971 International truck. And we have this sign on the side. The scrap mobile came about when we realized that not everybody could come to visit the store.
Right.
So the scrapmobile is up and running during the months where there's not a lot of snow, which is a little limiting.
So a couple of months
a couple of months. But we go into neighborhoods, and we've been able to secure funding from funders to offer free arts programming kind of on the street or in a parking lot for neighborhood
children. So it's like an instant arts festival right there.
Yeah, it really is.
Now, I know you've been in Marcy Holmes' neighborhood in Minneapolis. You've been in the Lyndale neighborhood.
Right, yes. We have a partnership with Lyndale. And different agencies, different organizations will call and say, can you bring the Scrapmobile out? We have this event, and we're happy to do that.
So the Scrapmobile is one of your projects we were talking about, and then, of course, the store is one.
Yes.
And what else do you have going on?
We have two other events. An event and then an ongoing program. We have a school residency program, which we call Eco Journeys. And it really is about working with artists and educators to look at issues of the environment. We have one large project on watershed education, and using the skills and imaginative powers of artists.
So this becomes an intersection then between the art, education, and environmental thinking and education as well.
Stewardship, right.
Oh, people must just love this kind of stuff.
Yes, I think they do.
Well received?
I think they really do. Yes, very well received. Okay. Our last project that I want to tell you about, because I know you were there, is the Art Flare on St. Clair. And this is a phenomenon, I have to tell you. It's a tribute to the power of community. There are about 11 women that get together and meet over the entire year to develop this community festival for the Mac-Groveland area. And we, just like any festival, we block off our street, and for a day, children, families come, and we're doing art making, and we pull out all the materials that we have at Art Scraps.
What I saw is just numerous activity areas. You have tables over here where they're making postcards, they're decorating shirts. I saw something where someone was pumping up a tube of something that shot up about 80 feet in the air.
Right.
There was food. It was just, it was a lot of fun.
And we managed to paint 2 cars. So we have 2 more art cars.
And I'm glad you mentioned that. There are these art cars, but my only question on the art car was, as I looked, the handles were painted. How do you get in? How do you drive those away?
I didn't even notice that, but I don't know. I suppose they had to
They were
wait.
fun, though. They were so motley, and the clothes. There were costumes there that I saw. People could get ready for the Halloween.
That's another interesting part, that there are merchants who actually donate things too, where they've donated maybe a stock of something that hasn't sold, and so then we're able to resell that. I should say that our pricing, I think, is fairly amazing. Most things range between 2 cents to $1.
Carol, you can't buy anything for 2
No.
cents anymore. There isn't even candy in the
No.
counter that you can get
That's
for 2
right.
cents anymore.
Yeah, that's
so
right.
a kid could come in there with his or her allowance, you know, which I guess these days is
Absolutely.
in the hundreds of dollars, but you could come in there as a kid and walk out with a lot of things and go home, make a project.
Right.
Or take it to school or whatever.
Yes, yes.
That's fascinating.
When we first opened the store in 1993, I think the best compliment we got was from a child who was walking around with his mother, and he said, "This is the best store I've ever been in." Because it is like a penny candy
Yeah.
store, and
It's a wonderland, yeah.
Children are just like that, looking at something and, oh yeah, I think I need that, and then I need this, and it's fascinating to watch them as they go around, and you can just see those little wheels turning.
If people wanted to get in touch with Art Start, phone number to call?
You know, we have an area code now.
That's
in
right.
St. Paul, that's 651, and then the number is 698-2787.
Okay, we'll get that up on the screen, and you guys are the lucky ones. You got the new area code. You know, we
Right,
have to work with
right.
the old one over
Yes,
here, so
yeah.
congratulations. We've got less than a minute left. What's the weirdest thing anybody's ever donated, where it's come in and you've said, oh my word, how are we going to use that?
How are we going to use, oh golly, what's the weirdest? Well,
These bug magnet kits kind of caught my eye.
well,
right here.
those are terrific, yes, and then we have this is the baggage tag deal. I think the weirdest thing we ever got was literally hundreds and hundreds of boxes of hard rubber stoppers. And
You mean like for a sink?
Yes.
Ah.
Yes, and you could not drill through them, you couldn't bend them, and we just wound up making stamps with them.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Carol,
So-
excellent work. Thanks for
Great.
coming in and sharing a little bit about
Thank
Art Start.
you.
Appreciate
Thanks.
it. Well, now, the advertising and creative community has a big day coming up in October. Kathy Umland will join Janet to talk about the show and the Creative Summit right after this Artifacts quiz. Stay tuned.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Janet Zahn, and with me today is Kathy Umland from Carmichael Lynch. Welcome.
Thanks, Janet.
Thanks for coming.
How are you?
Good.
Good to see you.
I just would like to know a little bit about the show. You're working very diligently and hard to make this thing happen on October 15th.
Yes.
What is the show?
The show is a awards presentation to the ad community here in Minneapolis. This whole process started back in April, where we put out a call to entries to all the advertising agencies in Minneapolis, well, actually the state, and we got about 2,100 entries.
That's a lot.
That's a lot, more than any other year. And so then we have judges come in from outstate and people that are sort of pinnacles in the community, and they judge all the work and pick the finalists, and this is the culmination of that whole process, and we're going to let everybody know what they won on October 15th.
This is a big night for the agency community locally.
Absolutely, this is like the big night of the year, sort of our Oscars, if you will.
Tell me, with 2,100 entries, it must have been quite an amazing judging process. Can you tell me a little bit about who came in and what you watched them judge this stuff.
Oh,
What
absolutely.
did
It was
look
really
like?
interesting.
I bet it was. Tell me about it.
We got 6 judges to come in from all over the country. We had Rob Siltonen from TVWA Chiat in Los Angeles. We had Bill Cairo from Cole & Weber in Seattle. Tom Moudry from the Focus Group in Dallas. Cliff Sora from the Martin Agency in Richmond. And Jean Coyne from Communication Arts. She's the editor-in-chief and has been for a million years. So it was a tremendous group of judges. They were, and Hal Curtis from Wyden and Kennedy. Sorry, Hal. Anyway.
If you're watching.
Yeah, if you're watching. So these are all people that, have won all the prestigious awards around, and we went after people that we felt were sort of impeccable in the creative community. And so anyway, they come in, And all of them had not met each other prior to this, so it was interesting to watch their group start to gel as the judging process happened. And it's a 2-day process. The first is sort of a run through of every single piece of work. They look through everything. They were so great. There were 178, I believe, radio spots, and they listened to every single one of them, every minute of it, which is a really arduous process. Same with television. There were hundreds of television spots they had to call through. So they'd take a look through everything and kind of give it a yes, no the first day. Then the second day, actually, we kind of changed the judging process this year to they have in the past done sort of an in-out cup where they vote yes it's in, no it's not, and depending on the number of beads that are dropped to each piece, they count up the beads, and if there's 7 it's a gold, 6 it's a silver, 5 it's, actually it's 6 this year since we only had 6 judges. But this year we went and did a point value to the beads themselves, so they could not only vote that yeah they thought it was good, but I thought it was so good it should be a gold. So we could tell that by the beads that they dropped, rather than having everybody go, well, I think it should be in, and they all vote for it, and it ends up getting a gold where they really felt it was more of a merit piece. So we ended up doing 3 steps. So the second step was going in and kind of assigning that point value, and then we ended up bringing all the work out that was either a gold, silver, or bronze, and they looked at the entire category and adjusted a little bit, because it's hard to get a sense of the work as a body, because after they'd gone through, especially Consumer Magazine, which is of course our big category here, we're such a strong print town, that they had awarded no golds. And they went, wow, this is obviously a town that deserves gold in this particular category. So then they could look at it and say, oh, okay, here's pieces we feel deserving.
What's their general impression of the advertising in this market, if they have a general impression?
Oh, absolutely they do. Number one, the judges are all extremely flattered to be brought into Minneapolis because we're considered one of the premier markets in the country. Again, especially for print, although they were very impressed with our television this year.
Good.
Radio tends to be the
tough one.
The stepson that unfortunately doesn't do too well, and didn't again this year, I must say. But they walked away inspired. All of them asked to have the show book sent to them, if not multiple copies, so they could share it with their own creative departments. And they're feeling that this is a market to emulate still, and look forward to seeing what Minneapolis is doing.
It's good to hear. And so people the general public can come to this show and see what it is that's so exciting about this work, correct?
Absolutely.
Let's give the details. When's the show?
Okay, it's going to be October 15th. It is starting at 5:30 at the Bravo Entertainment Center, which is right at 900 Hennepin. So that'll be a chance to see all the work, because we have it hung on the second floor. It'll all be up for display, including the merits. And then it's a buffet, dinner, and cocktails, that sort of thing. Then at 8 o'clock, we move over across the street to the historic State Theater.
Yes.
And that's where the show will be held. And we decided to go to more of a big venue so you could really actually sit down and view the work in a theater setting, because it's a nice way to see the work. And then, after that, which is about an hour, a little over, we'll go back over to Bravo about 9:30 and have a little post-show party, dancing, dessert. Mick Sterling and the Stud Brothers are going to play. So hopefully we'll have a real nice night to also have the rooftop open. But Bravo's a great venue for this. It'll be real fun.
It'll be really fun. I'm going to be there with Zahn.
Well, you should be.
Yes, indeed. We have some work that was actually entered into the show. This is a scoop. I'm so excited. We have a scoop. We have some work here that was entered in the show and did receive some kind of an award, but we can't say what.
Right, so we're either merit, gold, silver, or bronze, but we're not revealing what.
Yes.
Come to the show on the 15th.
Let's show the commercial, one of the commercials that received an award. Tell us a little bit, set it up a little bit for us.
Okay, this is part of a new campaign for the Lee Apparel Company. They have a new spokesperson that is actually an old spokesperson for them. It's a little doll called Buddy Lee. And I think the spots are hysterical. They're by Phill McGilligan did them. Andy Zulu is the art director. Greg Hahn is the writer on them. And they're a whole series. And this is one of the intro spots that kind of reintroduces Buddy Lee to the community that doesn't know him from the 30s like us. Barely.
Yes, that's true. Well, let's roll the spot.
Mayday! 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 He never looks for action.
My car! Somebody stop that car! My baby's in that car!
action finds him.
It's the brains! We found a twister! There's a twister coming! I have no idea!
And holds on to him like something that holds on really, really tight.
We're all gonna die!
Buddy Lee is Buddy Lee in Buddy Lee, Man of Action. Coming soon.
Fun spot.
Isn't it?
Who shot it?
Great. Spike Jones
Okay.
out of LA. So.
Well, that's a good sample of some of the, or one of the commercial spots. That's a winner. We have some print ads here too.
We do.
And really, in honor of Carmichael Lynch and the fact that you agreed to spend some time with us here this morning, we had to put one of CL's ads up first.
Absolutely. This is for Harley Davidson for their parts and accessories. And it's part of a series that I think are great.
Been award winners for many years, the Harley Davidson campaign, correct?
Oh, yes. And
Good
this
stuff.
This is brand new stuff.
Yeah.
And this is not for the bikes, this is for their accessories, which is a part of Harley that they've been building up, as most people know, for the last few years since their bikes have been doing their own.
Yeah, okay, here's the next one.
This is out of Falmouth as well for BMW. I just think it's an elegant poster. I love this.
Copy is, have we achieved the perfect balance between complete responsibility and utter joy? Always read the fine print. I mean, what a striking visual, but then followed up by some wonderfully strong copy. It's great stuff. Who did this one?
Dean Hanson was the art director, and I am embarrassed to say I can't remember who the writer is.
That's okay. It's all right. Go to the show. Find out.
Go to the show, exactly.
Yeah,
You'll remember.
Excellent.
This is out of Periscope. Again, it's part of a campaign which I think are hysterical for this smoker, cooker extraordinaire.
I got to read the copy too. If you're a tofu eating vegetarian type, you can start recycling this ad because this grill is for meat eaters. And there's a little bit more there too. It's a nice spot, nice piece.
Yeah, I think they're fun. This is out of Clarity Coverdale Fury. Again, it's a series that they did for this DBI Solid. What they do is make safety harnesses for guys up on these huge towers and oil rigs. They're a great series of photographs, and they had another one where they're up about 2,000 feet. And the art director is Jack Coverdale, and the writer is Michael Atkinson. It's a cool series to see all of them.
Yeah, it's nice stuff. And finally, I think this is our last one.
This is from Martin Williams, also a series for Coleman. Clean, beautiful, great photography. I think this is a great campaign.
If people can't see the detail on this particular part of the ad, which may be a little bit difficult to see, it's
a Game Boy.
It's a Game Boy in a garbage can. So, which really, I think, pulls it all together in a really, really nice way. I'll tell you, I'd much rather be here than playing with a Game Boy, I'll tell you. That's great.
So, yeah, they're beautiful ads.
Really nice work. Well, I think it's just a tribute to the, this community has been, this agency community has been really in the forefront in the country for many, many years in terms of the creative work that they do. And if people are not familiar with this is a great event to come and see.
It really is. You get a flavor of the whole community. We have a book that's a companion piece that'll be for sale the night of, and it's a huge this year. It's 258 pages, which is about 60 pages larger than normal. But the great thing is the judges were quite generous in the work that they selected this year because there was so much good work. It was hard for them to cull it down. So you get to see a tremendous variety, thank you, of pieces in the book. And it does show how strong this market is. And it's always been a very strong print market, but again, the television's really come up to snuff with competing nationally strongly. And I think, Buddy Lee's a small example, but there's tremendous amount more. The music category is very strong. Radio, again, the little stepsister, but Collateral, Design, Trade, Newspaper, all of them are great.
Yeah. I want to just briefly talk a little bit about the Creative Summit, which is happening that day also, October 15th, prior to at the Guthrie. Tell us a little bit about that.
That is put on by the 4As. I'm not sure how many years it's been going on, 4 or 5. And actually it's been parodied around the country now because it's kind of a cool event. They generally have 4 speakers. It's going to be at the Guthrie all day. the headliner this year, if you will, is Dee Dee Myers, who's coming in. She's the political editor of Vanity Fair, and of course worked with Clinton in the White House, and apparently she's a great speaker, so she'll be fun. And then David Lubars is going to come over from Fallon McGilligit. He is new to Fallon. He came in and took Bill Westbrook's job of being the executive creative director, so he had big shoes to fill. But David is a brilliant guy, and he'll be fun to listen to just coming into this market. He was at BBDO LA before this. Then we're going to have Alec Bogeski's going to come in from Crispin Porter Bogeski in Miami, talking about creative in a small shop. And then Nick Cohen's going to be here from Mad Dogs and Englishmen in New York. And they're kind of thought of as a renegade creative shop, and he's going to talk about that balance between client needs and doing real on-the-edge kind of work. So it's a nice balance of people. It'll be a good one, I think.
Yeah. We have to go. Thank you for all the information that you've given us. It's a great event, and I know you're working really hard on it.
It'll be great.
These dangerous-looking items.
Yes, these are the actual pushpin awards for the gold, silvers, and bronzes. So you lucky
you win
winners,
one of these, yeah.
You lucky winners will take something home to use as a doorstop.
Yeah. It's an honor.
It is an honor.
Indeed.
It is indeed.
Well, thanks very much again, Kathy, for coming.
Welcome. Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you, too. Judy Cooper-Lyle from the Real Community Theater will join Phill next, followed by a performance by storyteller Notanda Zulu. But first, a quick reminder that Minnesota Electronic Theater is coming up on Wednesday, November 4th from 4 to 8 p.m. at the Fine Line Music Cafe in downtown Minneapolis. It's a free event, it's fun, and here's a clip from last year's show to give you a taste of what you'll see.
Well, that was a fun look at a few images from that event. So if you get a chance to check it out, I suggest you do so. My next guest is Judy Cooper-Lyle, a woman, frankly, who wears a lot of hats. Judy, nice to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me.
And you really do. You have a production company, Phyllis Productions, and we're going to talk about what Phyllis Productions does. You just celebrated an anniversary with a company that's been doing theater hereabouts for quite a while. And what kind of keyed me in calling you in the first place is there's a new theatrical space that's opening up in South Minneapolis. Let's start with that.
Okay.
What's the name of it and where is it and what's going to go on there?
The building is called the Central City Theater, and it's right on the corner of 4th and Lake in the heart of the inner city. Used to be a porno bookstore. There's going to be a restaurant right on the corner, and the little theater space is in the same building but right next door to the restaurant space, and it's going to seat 50 to 60 people.
Right.
And we're calling it the Central City Theater, named after the central neighborhood.
That's right, which is where this is all located. Right in the heart of it. I used to live on 4th there, a couple blocks south of there, so I know this intimately, and it sounds like it's going to be a cozy, intimate little space.
It's perfect for community theater because community theater traditionally doesn't get huge audiences, and it's also good for new and emerging artists, which is what I'm going to be showcasing with my company.
Right, now talk about your company.
Okay, not to confuse people,
That's
but I have founded a company. It's been around for 2 years called Phyllis Productions, named after my mother, who is 93 and going strong.
My word.
She's my mentor. And Phyllis Productions will manage the Central City Theater, and I'm going to be producing works by new and emerging artists. And in the theater, the company in residence will be the Real Community Theater, of which I am the artistic director, and we've been around for 24 years.
Which is an astounding story in itself. And again, that's a grassroots-oriented company.
Exactly.
What kinds of things has that theater company been doing over the years?
We've really run the gamut of different things. Our mission, if you will, is to provide accessible arts for inner city, and to give an opportunity for amateurs to perform with more seasoned actors. We do a lot of family and children's shows. We do 3 shows a year. We do a serious drama, and we do an adult musical, and we do a children's holiday show.
Oh, what fun. And that's
So we're very busy.
And that's, I was going to say, that's the regular fare.
Yes.
That the real community theater has been
Right,
doing
right.
for all these years,
All these
24 years.
We took a couple of years off. People get tired, you know, and a lot of us have been involved for those 24 years. And kind of regrouped, got a little rest, rewrote our bylaws, and had an opportunity to get into this space. And when I was approached with it 2 years ago, I just thought, I want to go for it.
Great opportunity.
I don't want to be sitting in a rocking chair someday saying, I wish I'd done that.
Yeah, if only I'd,
Yes.
yeah.
So I just decided, go for it. I quit my real job, and
Wow.
I've been working towards
What a
this
commitment
goal
this is.
now.
That's pretty impressive.
Yes.
Now, in September, you actually had a production that was sort of what, a retrospective, as it were?
We called it an original retrospective, and the cast wrote it. It was little glimpses into our past. It was a very personal show.
Yeah.
Because we wrote about our high school days and unrequited love, and things like that, divorces, and it was very personal. And we did a lot of the old 60s and 70s
Yeah.
girl group music. It was quite successful. We performed in the theater even though it wasn't quite done.
Yeah.
We didn't want to postpone, we didn't want to move, so we did it with scaffolding around us, and the ceiling just hung, and a lot of sawdust and plaster dust.
You can't get
but
more grassroots than that.
That's right.
Well, bless your heart, that sounds good. And you offered to sing us a tune that was what, part of this particular show?
It was part of this
So
show.
you put it in there.
Right.
Yeah.
It's from actually The Color Purple. It's called Seeley's Blues, and it's just one of my favorites. We all did a lot of our favorite songs in the show, and that's why it was real personal.
Well, that's really neat. Well, tell you what, if our maestro there can get the music cranked up, Judy Cooper Lyle with Seeley's Blues.
Thank you.
You've been on my mind, sister. We're two of a kind, oh sister. I'm keeping my mind on you. I bet you think I don't know nothing but singing the blues, oh sister. Have I got news for you? I'm something. I hope you think that you're something too. Scuffling, I've been up that lonesome road, and I've seen a lot of suns going down. Oh, but trust me, no low life's gonna run me around. So let me tell you something, sister. Remember your name, no twister. Gonna steal your stuff away, my sister. We sure ain't got a whole lot of time. So shake that shimmy, sister, 'cause honey, this girl is feeling fine.
All right. Seeley's Blues, Judy Cooper Lyle. I think we got an extra couple measures on that the beginning there. Sorry about that. Well, that was wonderful. So this was a show that incorporated songs of that nature and out of your life and your friends. And
we did 60s stuff, Leader of the Pack. We did some show tunes.
This sounds very healthy.
Yes.
I like that. And by the way, didn't you tell me that you're going to be touring this a little bit later in the year?
We're going to tour to private parties, and we got such good response with the show that we're going to keep it in our repertoire, and we're going to dust it off next year and maybe change a few things and open it again.
Sounds like fun.
Yes.
That's great. By the way, if people want to get hold of you and the organization that you're part of, there's a phone number they can call?
869-5080, and we're looking for actors for The Snow Queen, which is our holiday show.
Wonderful. That's this holiday season.
This
looking
holiday
for the Snow Queen.
season.
Okay.
Right.
Well, that's great. Speaking of that show, and here we are in Fourth and Lake, who do you expect is going to come and watch this? I've got a sense from community theater who's going to be, you know, there are a lot of folks that like to be in community theater productions. Who's going to come and see the shows?
We want the neighborhood there,
Yeah.
particularly neighborhood children. We want kids, particularly, who don't have the opportunity to see a show anywhere else, because our admission policy is a little bit different than other people's. It's suggested donation.
Oh, really? Show by show?
You can come to the show, and if you don't have the money to get in, you can get in, because we really don't charge.
Well, that's real community theater.
That's real community theater. We've never changed that policy.
Wow.
So the neighborhood kids can come and see it as many times as they want to.
And I'm going to guess that you've got some matinees mixed in here as well as
We're
evening shows.
going to do some matinees, yes. It'll open the Friday after Thanksgiving.
Oh, that sounds wonderful.
And it'll run for 2 weekends.
Well, that's great. I forgot to ask a question. Who owns, is this building, is this theater, is the space actually owned by the neighborhood? What's the superstructure of all this?
It's called the Lake Street Partnership. It's Lake Street Limited Partnership, and it's a private developer and an offshoot of Central Neighborhood Improvement Association
so
that actually own the building, and then I will be a tenant.
I see. Okay, so the community is part of the ownership, though.
Right.
They have that connection.
Right. The community has had a lot of input.
Well, that's great. Well, Judy, I wish you the best of luck with your productions.
Thank
I look
you.
forward to seeing shows at 4th and Lake in South Minneapolis, and carry on. Another 24 years.
Thank you.
Thanks, Judy. Appreciate it. Now, coming up next, Notando Zulu will grace our studio with her presence and a story she can't wait to tell. You're watching Artifacts on City Cable 34.
Gather near, storytelling time is here. I'm going to tell you a story today about 3 little girls. Actually, they're 3 little sisters. Their names are Kayana, Kiera, and Makeda, with Kayana being the oldest sister and Makeda being the youngest sister. Now, these 3 little sisters lived in a small village in Africa, which is not so different. What is different, though, is that there was a magical river running right through their village. And the river was magical because if you asked it real nice, and if you promised to bring it something in return, that river would stop flowing, open up, and let you walk across, walking on absolutely, positively dry land. Well, anyway, the 3 girls wanted to go snail hunting, and of course, the best snails were across the river. So they sat down and talked about it, and Kayana reminded them that they needed to be nice and that they needed to bring something to the river. So they decided what they would say to the river, how nice they would be to the river, and they decided that they would bring snails to the river. Now, it was the next day and time for them to go, and of course, Kayana went first to the river because she was the oldest, and the oldest always goes first to make sure everything is okay for the younger ones coming behind. And when she got to the river, she was very, very nice indeed. She said, "Good morning, Mr. River. How are you this morning, Mr. River? Mr. River, may I please cross to the other side so that I may hunt some snails?" And Mr. River said, "Oh, well, now you have such nice manners, and I just love the way you asked me, but if I let you cross, what will you bring me when you get ready to go home?" And Kiana said, "Well, I'm going to hunt snails, so of course I'll bring you some snails." And Mr. River said, "Snails, I love snails. That's wonderful, that's wonderful. All right, you may cross." And he stopped flowing. He opened up, he let her walk across, walking on absolutely positively dry land. And then next came Kiara, the second oldest, and she too was just as nice, just as sweet. "Hi, Mr. River. How you doing this morning, Mr. River? Mr. River, you know what? You let my sister cross to the other side so she could hunt some snails. Would you open up and let me cross too, please?" And Mr. River said, "Oh, you're just as nice as your sister." "I think I might, but it depends on what you shall bring me when you get ready to go home." So Kiara said, "Well, I'm hunting snails, so I'll bring you some snails." And Mr. River said, "Oh, this is wonderful. This is going to be a great day. I'm going to have a great snail feast today." He said, "You may cross." And he stopped flowing. He opened up and he let her walk across, walking on absolutely positively dry land. And then came Makeda, who was the youngest of the three and who had a mind of her own as to how the world ought to work. So when she got to the river, she said, "Hey, River, look. I want to cross to the other side. See, my sisters are on the other side, and I want to cross so I can hunt some snails, okay?" Mr. River said, "Ooh, you have a Grady voice. You didn't say please, but your sisters were nice, and I might let you cross, but it depends on what you will bring me when you get ready to go home." And Makeda said, "Well, I'll bring you some chickens, some eggs, and some yams." And Mr. River said, "Chickens, eggs, and yams? I love chickens, eggs, and yams. I don't get them very often. Now remember, that's what you got to bring me in order for you to go home." She said, yeah, just open up." Well, River did open up and let her cross, walking on absolutely positively dry land. And they hunted snails most of the day. Then it was time for them to go home, and Kiana, she of course came back first to the river because she is the oldest, and she had to make sure that everything was okay for the younger ones coming behind. When she got to the river, she said, "Thank you so much, Mr. River, because I had a great time, and I've got a lot of snails. I got a lot for you. I got a lot for me, too." And she dumped the snails into the river. River gobbled them up and said, "Thank you," opened up and let her go home. Then came Kiara. "Oh, Mr. River, Mr. River, Mr. River, Mr. River, thank you, because I had a great time, and I got a lot of snails. I got so many. I got a whole bunch for you. I got a whole bunch for me." She dumped the snails into the river. River gobbled them up, said, "Thank you," opened up and let her go home. And then came Makeda. "Okay, River, I am ready to go home now." River said, "You are? Well, where are those things you promised me, the chickens, the eggs, and the yams?" And Makeda said, "Well, you see, it's like this. See, I thought I would be able to find you some chickens, eggs, and yams over there while I was hunting snails, because usually you can find chickens, eggs, and yams anywhere you go, but the thing is that I couldn't find you any chickens, eggs, and yams over there, so what I have to do is I've got to go home and get you your chickens, eggs, and yams. So all you got to do is open up, let me go get you your chickens, eggs, and yams, and I'll bring them right back to you. I'm not trying to get over on you or nothing, so just open up, okay?" Well, Mr. River said, "No, you don't have those chickens, eggs, and yams. I don't open up." She said, "Well, that's okay. If you don't open up, I'll just cross on my own." And she stuck her foot into the river, and when she did, River snatched her right by her ankles, snatched her into the water. Then he had her going up and down in the water, just like a little dish rag. And every time she come up, she'd go, "Help! Help! Help somebody!" Well, now, as she was crying out, "Help!" there were some magical birds flying along in the air. And she called to them, "Birds! Birds! Get my mama, tell it! Bring some cheese, eggs, and yams before the river drowns me! Please!" Well, the birds, they understood. And they took off, and they went and got her mother and told her what was going on, and Mama hurried back with the chickens, eggs, and yams. She threw them into the river. River said, "Thanks, Mom," gobbled them up, and threw Makeda on the shore. Now, you might think that's the end of the story, but it's not. No, because as soon as Makeda got all of that water out of her nose, her ears, her mouth, and her throat, oh, I tell you, she was a changed person, changed indeed. And she came back to the river, and she said to Mr. River, she said, Mr. River, I am real sorry that I didn't have good manners this morning, and I want you to know it won't happen again. And also, Mr. River, I'm real sorry that I made a promise to you that I had no intentions of keeping, but that won't happen again. And from that day forward, Makeda always had good manners, saying please, thank you, may I, all of those nice things that grown persons especially like to hear. And Makeda never, ever made a promise that she could not or would not keep. And that is that.
Notando Zulu, that was wonderful. Thank you. And a good lesson. I mean, that's the beauty of the storytelling. I got a little worried for you there when you're drowning there, Saul, because you do that pretty darn well. I'm impressed. Now, Notando, you tell stories all over town. And recently you were involved in a storytelling festival.
That's right.
That was in September. Can you talk a little bit about what that was?
Well, it was our 7th annual called Signifying and Testifying, kind of from, you know, the old tradition, you know. And we had great storytellers in. We had the stoetry teller, Granddaddy Junebug. He's out of Fayetteville, North Carolina, and all of his stories are done in rhyme, as a matter of fact. And we had Tamajan, who is a big, jolly fellow, you know, whom I love to hear tell. And he was the first one I heard tell how the elephant got his short nose. That's what he does.
Crocodile and all that.
That's right. That's right. So we had all of those in. We had 3 days of activities, and we also got to do something that we wanted to do that we hadn't been able to do in any big formal manner, and that was to honor Maddie Clark. You see, because she was kind of the pioneer for storytelling, and she tells those stories that she heard at her grandmother's knee down in Mississippi.
What a good thing to do.
Yeah.
And you do that every year?
Every year.
Now, you're involved locally here with the Black Storytellers Alliance.
That's
Can you just very briefly tell us what that organization's about?
Well, we are about storytelling and going about and teaching. Being involved with storytelling, as far as we're concerned, it is not just a performing art. It is also a healing, a teaching art, you know, so it's more functional than it is anything else, you know, kind of that old 70s type of idea about
Well, bless your heart, it's great work, and thank you for coming and telling us a wonderful story.
Oh, well, thank you
That was
for
a thrill.
having me.
That was
Thank
great.
you very much.
Now, Janet will be right back to wrap up the show, but first we're going to get the answer to that artifacts quiz, so stay tuned for that. Well, a lot of fun.
Did you have the answer to the quiz? Did you?
I would not have gotten that.
Yeah, and you know, in case people are wondering and didn't recognize the woman in the middle.
Yeah, who was that?
Bridget Fonda.
No kidding.
She doesn't look like Bridget Fonda at all there.
Looked a little bit like Billy Bob Thornton, I'm not sure. Well, at this point in the show, somebody's... No, she didn't, of course. Why did I say that?
Not Bridget.
Not Bridget. But he's looking pretty good. Billy Bob. Now, we like to chat on here at the end of the show about a few things that are going on. No Name Exhibition, celebrating 10 years of existence, so that's pretty good. They've got a big anniversary show going up at their space, which is down on the riverfront, 2nd Street Southeast and 5th Avenue Southeast. That show runs through October 25th. That should be fun.
While we talked about this during my segment, the show, We neglected to say a couple of things. One, the Art Directors Copywriters Club and the Advertising Federation of Minnesota are the sponsors of the big show. And also, if you have any questions, want to find out about tickets, etc., you can call 347-1944.
How long do you think those crack art directors spent naming the show?
Years.
Years?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, it was a contest or something. By the way, Eye of the Storm Theater Company here, based in the Twin Cities, down at the Loring Playhouse, has announced their upcoming season of 3 plays, Manhood, Elves, and Infidelity. They're all the themes that are going to be on stage at Eye of the Storm's 99 season, 98 to 99 season here. It opens with the world premiere of the provocative Mr. Xmas. That's by Twin Cities playwright Bridget Carpenter. There's also the world premiere of the provocative, I just said that. There's also the return engagement of Santaland Diaries, followed by the Midwest premiere of David Hare's Skylight. So that's all down at the Loring Playhouse with Eye of the Storm.
And of course, because I'm working to coordinate this event, we get to mention it one more time.
We can plug this right here.
That's right, Minnesota Electronic Theater. It really is a fun event. If you're interested in computers and animation and multimedia interactive, we're going to have computers down there and a big screen and lots of really fun stuff. November 4th, it's a Wednesday night, 4 to 8, Fine Line Music Cafe.
I've been there for some of those, and you got to remember to just shut your mouth because you're going to be drooling over this technical wizardry.
It's all Minnesota stuff.
All local. By the way, the mayor of Minneapolis, Sharon Sells Belton, has opened up her conference room down at City Hall. She's been doing this actually on and off for a while to art exhibitions. And Sally Kruta is the featured artist right now. It's up now, so if you have any reason to be down at City Hall or you're being booked or something is happening, try and get up there to the mayor's conference room. Sally Kruta, chair paintings. I've seen the show. Really nice work. So I urge people to get up there and see that.
We have art here in City Hall.
Right here in City Hall,
That's
yeah.
right.
That's right. Now, if you've seen anybody on the show or you want to find out more about some of the things we've mentioned, by all means, call the City Cable 34 hotline. That's 673-2234. For instance, Notando Zulu. Fantastic performer. If you want to figure it, call us and we'll be able to connect you with her, book her. She's a fantastic storyteller.
And a warm, wonderful human being, too.
Yeah,
She's
good
wonderful.
moral. So,
great.
Grab your pen, your paper, because the Artifacts calendar is coming up.
And I think that's all we have for this month of October. Thanks for watching. I'm Janet Zahn.
And I'm Phill Lindsay. We'll see you next time.